In 1968, a scientist built paradise. Not a metaphor, not a thought experiment. An actual physical paradise, constructed with his own hands, funded by the United States government, and designed with one single purpose. Unlimited food, unlimited water, no disease, no predators, no suffering. And within a few years, every single creature inside it was dead. Not from starvation, not from war, not from disaster. They died because paradise itself had broken them. The experiment was called Universe 25, and some scientists believe we may already be repeating it. His name was John B. Calhoun, an American behavioral scientist. His goal sounded almost absurdly simple: create the perfect environment for life, a physical paradise designed specifically for mice. A world where every biological need would be satisfied. No scarcity, no struggle, no danger, no uncertainty. And then observe what happened. At first, the experiment appeared to be a complete success. The mice multiplied rapidly. Social groups formed naturally. Territories emerged. Mothers cared for their young. The colony expanded exactly the way healthy life is supposed to expand. But then something changed. Slowly, quietly. The structure holding the colony together began to dissolve. And what followed became one of the most disturbing experiments in the history of behavioral science. Because the mice did not thrive. They collapsed. Completely, irreversibly. And the final mouse died alone, in a paradise that still had food on the table. The experiment was called Universe 25. Calhoun had conducted earlier versions before, with rats, with different enclosures, under different conditions. But Universe 25 was his masterpiece, the most controlled, the most carefully designed, the most devastating. He constructed a large steel enclosure filled with everything a mouse could ever need. Food dispensers that never emptied, water bottles that never ran dry, perfect temperature. Protected nesting areas, no predators, no disease. The enclosure was designed to comfortably support more than 3,000 mice. He started with only 8, 4 males, 4 females, young, healthy, carefully selected. And in the beginning, everything unfolded perfectly. The mice explored. They established territories. They reproduced. Mothers raised healthy litters. The population doubled, then doubled again, then again. By day 315, the colony had grown to more than 600 mice. On the surface, it looked like paradise was working. But underneath that surface, something had already started to go wrong. Something invisible. Something Calhoun would eventually call the behavioral sink. And once it began, the colony never truly recovered again. The behavioral sink did not appear all at once. It emerged gradually. As the population increased, the social structure of the colony began to fracture. Dominant males stopped maintaining territory. Younger mice struggled to find stable social roles. Mothers became increasingly stressed. Even though there was more than enough space, even though there was more than enough food, even though there was more than enough of everything. And then the violence began. Dominant males attacked without provocation. They lashed out at rivals, females, even their own offspring. Fights erupted constantly, for no clear reason. Females abandoned their nests. Some stopped nursing their young entirely. Infant mortality rose dramatically. In certain parts of the enclosure, nearly every newborn died. And then something even stranger appeared. A new type of mouse emerged. Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. These mice withdrew from nearly all social behavior. They did not fight. They did not compete. They did not mate. They showed no interest in territory, reproduction, or dominance. They spent almost all of their time eating, sleeping, and grooming themselves. Their fur became perfectly clean. Their bodies remained untouched by violence. Unlike the others, they carried no scars, because they never participated in life at all. They were physically flawless, and completely, utterly hollow. Calhoun believed this was the first visible stage of total collapse. Now comes the uncomfortable part, because Calhoun did not believe he was only studying mice. Look around you. Look carefully at what destroyed the colony. It was not hunger. It was not disease. It was not natural disaster. The mice had everything they needed to survive, and they died anyway. What killed them was the removal of struggle. The roles that once organized life, protector, mother, leader, builder, slowly dissolved. And when those roles disappeared, the colony did not become peaceful. It became directionless. Now look at the world we have built. We live in the most comfortable period in human history. More food than any previous generation, more safety, more medicine, more entertainment, more access to more things than any human being who came before us could have imagined. And yet, rates of depression are climbing. Loneliness is being called an epidemic. Birth rates across the developed world are falling below replacement level. For the first time in human history, millions of people can survive without ever truly being needed by anyone. Calhoun called this the death of the spirit. The moment a creature continues surviving biologically, while psychologically withdrawing from life itself, the body remains alive, but something deeper quietly stops functioning. On day 560, the population reached its peak, roughly 2,200 mice, still below the enclosure's maximum capacity, still surrounded by unlimited resources, still in paradise. And then the colony began to die. Not suddenly, quietly. Birth rates collapsed. Social behavior deteriorated further. More mice withdrew from interaction entirely. The beautiful ones continued grooming themselves in empty corridors, while the rest of the colony slowly disappeared around them. And the most disturbing part was this. There was no external cause, no famine, no epidemic, no predator, no environmental disaster. Everything required for survival was still there. Calhoun attempted one final intervention. He removed several of the beautiful ones and placed them into a new enclosure with fertile females and unlimited resources. He wanted to know whether the damage could be reversed, whether paradise, given another chance, could recover. It could not. The mice never reintegrated, never reproduced, never formed meaningful social behavior again. Something inside them had permanently shut down. By 1973, Universe 25 was silent. Every mouse was dead. The food dispensers remained full. The water bottles remained full. The temperature remained perfect. The paradise was completely intact and completely empty. Not everyone agrees. Many critics argue the collapse was caused by overcrowding, not comfort. They point out that mice are not humans, that our societies are vastly more complex, that drawing a direct line from Universe 25 to modern civilization oversimplifies everything. And they are not entirely wrong. The colony did experience extreme social density. The experiment has never been perfectly replicated. Human beings are infinitely more adaptable than mice. But Calhoun's response to every critic always came back to one specific detail. The beautiful ones. They were not trapped in the violent, crowded areas. They had space. They had food. They had safety. They had comfort. And they were the most broken mice in the entire enclosure, because what disappeared from their lives was not survival. It was purpose, a role, a struggle, a reason to show up. And that is the question Universe 25 leaves sitting in the room long after the experiment is over. Not, are we too crowded? But are we too comfortable? John B. Calhoun died in 1995. In the final decades of his life, he became less interested in predicting collapse and more interested in preventing it. He believed human environments could be designed differently, that cities, communities, and social systems could be deliberately shaped to preserve meaning, responsibility, and genuine human connection. He was largely ignored. Universe 25 faded into obscurity, reduced to an internet footnote, a simplified warning, a strange story about dead mice in a steel box. But the experiment itself still remains, unchanged, unrefuted, a sealed paradise filled with unlimited resources and no survivors. Because Universe 25 forces a question that science still struggles to answer clearly. What does a social creature actually need beyond survival? What is the thing that is not food, not water, not shelter, not safety, but without which something essential begins to break? Calhoun believed the answer was meaning, a genuine social role, a struggle that matters, a life in which your existence is required by something beyond yourself. And he watched what happened when those things disappeared, in mice, in paradise, in 1968, and the question he left behind has never fully gone away. Whether the world we are building for ourselves is truly different from Universe 25, or whether we are already living inside it.